Welcome to Neural Nexus Podcast, where we explore the hottest topics shaping the world. Let's dive in.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to break down the big news stories, really give you the insights you need to be well-informed quickly.
That's right. And today, we're looking at something that's definitely making waves. Elon Musk launching a new political party.
The America Party, as he's calling it.
Exactly. And it happened right after President Trump signed that huge spending bill. We've gone through a recent Fox News piece to sort of pull out the key details for you.
Okay. So our goal here is to figure out, why now? What's this party about? And critically, what could it actually mean for U.S. politics going forward? Let's dive in.
All right, so let's get the basic facts down first. Elon Musk, Saturday, July 5th, 2025, announces the America Party on X. Yeah, the platform he owns. But what's really interesting, I think, is not just that he announced it, but his specific reasoning.
Okay, what did he say?
Well, he explicitly called it a direct response to what he sees as a, quote, corrupt political establishment.
Strong words.
Very. He said it no longer represents the American people, that the two-party system is, well, fundamentally broken. His quote was, "When it comes to bankrupting our country with waste and graft, we live in a one-party system, not a democracy."
Wow. So a pretty direct shot there.
Absolutely. And he finished that post with, "Today, the America Party is formed to give you back your freedom."
And this wasn't entirely out of the blue, right? There was that poll he ran.
Right. On July 4th, the day before, he put up a poll on X asking if voters wanted independence from the two-party, some would say uniparty system.
That term uniparty, just for clarity, that suggests both parties are essentially the same on key issues, correct?
Yeah.
At least in the view of those using the term.
Precisely. That's the implication. And the poll results were pretty striking. Over 1.2 million votes came in.
And the outcome.
65.4% voted yes for independence from the two-party system.
So a clear majority in his poll.
Yeah. Musk followed up saying, by a factor of 2-1, you want a new political party and you shall have it.
Okay, now let's talk timing because this feels crucial. The announcement came right after President Trump signed that huge spending bill.
The $3.3 trillion big, beautiful bill, as Trump called it, signed on Friday, July 4th at the White House. Musk announces the party on Saturday, July 5th.
That seems unlikely to be a coincidence.
It really does. I mean, this bill, it's massive tax cuts, infrastructure, stimulus, the works.
Right.
And while Musk's post about the America Party didn't explicitly name the bill,
The timing
suggests, increased friction. We know Musk has warned about unchecked spending by both parties before. He thinks it threatens the economy long term.
Didn't he call the U.S. political system something like the Porky Pig Party?
He did, yeah, suggesting both Republicans and Democrats are just indulging in excessive spending and waste. So this bill likely just crystallized his view.
So it looks like a response to perceived fiscal irresponsibility, maybe amplified by this specific bill. What's the actual plan for the America Party, according to Musk? Is it aiming to win the presidency?
Not immediately, it seems. According to his posts, the initial aim is more targeted. They want to go after a few key seats in Congress.
Okay, why just a few?
The goal seems to be creating a swing bloc, powerful enough, potentially, to hold the balance of power.
Ah, so they could block legislation from either side.
Exactly. Block what Musk sees as the worst excesses of both the Republicans and the Democrats. It's about disruption and leverage, not necessarily outright replacement, at least initially.
So a strategic move to insert influence. Okay, so Musk drops this bombshell. How did the political world react? What were the initial takes?
Well, as you might expect, it stirred things up, especially on the right. There was quite a bit of concern voiced pretty quickly.
Like what?
Well, you had conservative commentators like Sean Farash posting worries that a third party like this could end up splitting the conservative vote.
The classic spoiler effect argument.
Exactly. That it could, quote, disproportionately take votes from the right versus the left and give the left an easier path to power. Others, like Joey Manorino, were urging Musk, maybe work within the GOP, try to reform it from the inside instead.
Makes sense. But given how difficult it is for third parties historically, we'll get to that, are those vote-splitting fears the main story, or could this be different?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? History is definitely against him. But, Musk's platform, the current political climate, maybe it changes the calculation. It's hard to say for sure.
And we should probably also mention the criticisms of the poll itself.
Oh, absolutely. Good point. Critics immediately pointed out, look, this X poll was informal. It wasn't scientifically rigorous.
Not limited to U.S. voters either.
Right. Anyone on X could vote.
Yeah.
And, the potential for bots influencing the results is always there with online polls like that. So it's a signal, maybe, but not exactly a mandate.
Okay, let's zoom out then. You mentioned the historical difficulty. Talk a bit more about why third parties have such a tough time in the U.S.
Sure. I mean, the entire American political system is fundamentally structured, really built, for two dominant parties.
No, so?
Several big reasons. You've got the electoral college system for presidential elections, which makes it incredibly hard for a party without broad state-by-state support to win anything, even with significant popular votes.
Winner take all.
Exactly. Winner-take-all elections for Congress mean even if a third party gets, say, 15–20% of the vote in a district, they get zero representation. The winner gets everything.
And just getting on the ballot can be tough too, right?
Immensely tough. Ballot access laws vary by state, but they often require a huge number of signatures or meeting other strict criteria, which is a massive logistical and financial hurdle for new parties. It really favors the established players.
And we have examples of this. Ross Perot in 1992 is probably the most famous recent one.
Absolutely. Prime example. He got nearly 19% of the popular vote. Huge showing for a third party.
But how many electoral college votes?
Zero. None. Didn't win a single state. That just perfectly shows how the system works against third parties, translating popular support into actual power.
And that was really the high water mark since, what, Teddy Roosevelt's Bull Moose run in 1912?
Pretty much. Roosevelt actually came in second that year, splitting the Republican vote and helping Wilson win. But that was a unique situation with a former president leading the charge. Since then, Ralph Nader with the Greens, Gary Johnson with the Libertarians, they've raised issues, maybe influenced debate, but haven't overcome those structural barriers electorally.
So history is definitely not on Musk's side here.
Yeah.
What about the established parties? How did the Republicans, specifically the Trump administration, respond to this?
Well, the Republican Party pushed back with a narrative of basically strength and unity under Trump.
Okay.
Harrison Fields, the White House principal deputy press secretary, sent an email to Fox News Digital stating that President Trump has, quote, unified and grown the party in a way we've never seen.
Unified and grown it. What evidence did they offer for that?
Fields pointed to Trump's electoral performance, earning the largest share of votes ever for a Republican presidential nominee, securing majorities in Congress during his term.
Okay.
And he specifically mentioned that recent big spending bill, the $3.3 trillion big, beautiful bill, noting that Trump's, quote, historic domestic policy agenda swiftly and successfully passed through one big, beautiful bill with resounding GOP support.
Interesting that they highlight the very bill that seems to have potentially catalyzed Musk's move.
Right. The message seems to be the party is unified, successful, and fully behind the president's agenda. Fields concluded the party is stronger than ever and in lockstep with the Trump agenda.
So presenting a very solid front. But looking at the broader picture, does that assessment fully capture the situation? Or are there not still, different factions or tensions within the GOP, even with that legislative win?
Well, that's politics, isn't it? Publicly, especially from the White House, you'll always project unity and strength. And they certainly achieved a major legislative victory with that bill. But the fact that a figure like Musk feels the need to launch an alternative, citing issues like spending, does suggest that perhaps not everyone feels represented or satisfied, even within the broader conservative or Republican coalition. It points to those ongoing undercurrents.
Okay, so tying this all together for you, the listener, what are the main takeaways here? We've looked at Musk's reasoning for the America Party, this anti-establishment, anti-waste message.
Yeah, and the apparent catalyst, that huge spending bill. We've also explored the, frankly, massive historical challenges that third parties face in the U.S. system.
Right, and contrasted that with the Republican Party's official response, emphasizing their current strength and unity under President Trump.
So as you process all this, maybe think about how influence is shifting. You have traditional political structures, parties, legislation, and then you have these newer forces, powerful tech figures like Musk, the reach of social media, these kinds of online polls and pronouncements. How do these things interact?
It's a fascinating question. Is Musk's move, coming right after this big bill, a genuine sign that the two-party system might be starting to fray in new ways? Or is it just, another episode in that long history of third-party attempts that ultimately bump up against those same old structural walls?
Exactly. Is this different somehow, or just history repeating itself with a modern tech billionaire twist? Definitely something worth keeping an eye on and mulling over.